Train your mind to stay calm no matter what happens. Your life is not falling apart, your mind is right now. Something small can ruin your entire day. One message, one mistake, one person's opinion, and suddenly, you're stressed, overthinking, reacting, losing control. But imagine this instead: no matter what happens, you stay calm. No panic, no emotional reactions, no inner chaos, just control, clarity, power. Most people will never reach this level, but a few people train their minds differently. And once you understand how they think, nothing will ever disturb you again. Stay with me, because this might be the most important mindset shift of your life. 1. Calm is a skill, not a personality. You are not just an emotional person. You are untrained. Calmness is not something people are born with, it is something they build. Right now, your reactions feel automatic. You think you have no control. But that's because you've practiced reacting your entire life. Every time you panic, overthink, or lose control, you reinforce that habit. But the same way you trained your mind to react, you can train it to stay calm. Through repetition, through awareness, through discipline. The moment you understand this, everything changes. Because now, calm is not something you hope for, it's something you train for. 2. Your reaction is your weakest point. Life doesn't control you, your reactions do. Someone says something, you react. Something goes wrong, you react. A situation changes, you react. And every reaction gives away your power. Strong minds don't eliminate problems. They eliminate unnecessary reactions, because they understand that the moment you react emotionally, you lose clarity. And when you lose clarity, you make poor decisions. Calmness gives you an advantage. It allows you to see clearly while others are blinded by emotion. And in life, the person who sees clearly wins. 3. The pause is power. There is a small gap between what happens and how you respond. That gap is where your power lives. Most people skip it, they react instantly. But calm minds pause. They breathe, they observe, they think, and in that pause, something powerful happens. Emotion weakens. Logic returns. Control is restored. Train yourself to delay your reaction, even by a few seconds. Because that pause can save you from regret, mistakes, and emotional damage. 4. You suffer more in your mind than in reality. Most of your stress is not coming from reality. It's coming from your thoughts about reality. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You replay situations. You overanalyze everything, and your mind creates problems that don't even exist. This is why you feel overwhelmed. Not because life is too hard, but because your thoughts are too loud. Calm people don't eliminate problems. They eliminate unnecessary thinking. They focus only on what is real, not what their mind is exaggerating. And that alone brings peace. 5. Control what you can, release the rest. You cannot control everything. Not people, not outcomes, not life itself, and trying to control everything creates stress. Calm minds understand something simple but powerful: control is limited. You control your actions, you control your mindset, you control your response. Everything else, let it go the moment you stop fighting what you can't control. You free your mind. 6. Stop taking everything personally. Not everything is about you. People act based on their own struggles, emotions, and mindset. When someone is rude, it reflects them, not you. But when you take it personally, you absorb their negativity, and that disturbs your peace. Calm people observe behavior without internalizing it. They don't carry what doesn't belong to them. And that keeps them stable. 7. Emotional control is real power. Anyone can react, very few can stay calm. That's what makes it powerful. When you control your emotions, you control your actions. And when you control your actions, you control your life. This is not suppression, this is mastery. You feel emotions, but you don't let them control you. That's the difference. 8. Silence is strength. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not every argument deserves your voice. Sometimes, silence is the strongest response. Because silence protects your energy. It prevents unnecessary conflict, and it shows control. The person who talks less and observes more, understands more. 9. Detach from outcomes. The more attached you are, the more anxious you become. You want things to go a certain way, and when they don't, you feel stressed. Calm people act without attachment. They do their best, but they don't force results. They allow life to unfold, and that detachment keeps them steady. 10. Train your mind daily. Calmness is not built in one day. It is built daily, through habits, through discipline, through awareness. Every time you choose calm over reaction, you grow stronger. Every time you pause instead of panic, you train your mind. Over time, it becomes natural. 11. Protect your energy. Not everything deserves your attention. Some people drain you. Some situations are unnecessary. Calm people protect their energy. They avoid chaos. They choose peace, because your environment shapes your mind. 12. Accept discomfort without panic. Life will not always be easy. There will be stress, pressure, and uncertainty. But calm minds don't panic in discomfort. They accept it. They understand that discomfort is temporary, and that mindset keeps them stable. 13. Your mind is your environment. If your mind is chaotic, your life feels chaotic. If your mind is calm, your life feels controlled. Your inner world shapes your outer experience. So train your mind first. Everything else follows. 14. Stop overthinking everything. Overthinking destroys calmness. It creates problems that don't exist. It drains your energy, and it keeps you stuck. Calm people simplify. They focus on what matters, and ignore the rest. 15. Confidence comes from control. The more control you have over your mind, the more confident you become. Because nothing easily shakes you, and that stability creates strength. 16. Your peace is more valuable than being right. One of the biggest reasons people lose their calm is because they feel the need to be right all the time. They argue, they defend themselves, they try to prove a point, even when it's unnecessary. But here's the truth: every time you enter an argument just to prove you're right, you sacrifice your peace. Calm minds understand something deeper. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes, you already know the truth, and that's enough. You don't need validation from others. You don't need to convince anyone. Because the moment you start trying to control how others think, you lose control of yourself. And that's the real loss. There is power in letting people be wrong. There is strength in walking away from unnecessary conflict. Because calmness is not about winning arguments, it's about protecting your inner state. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you free your mind from unnecessary stress. And in that freedom, you become stronger. 17. Learn to let things go immediately. Holding on is one of the fastest ways to destroy your peace. You replay conversations, you hold grudges, you think about what should have happened instead. And all of that keeps you mentally stuck. Calm people don't hold on longer than necessary. They feel, they process, and then they let go because they understand that holding on doesn't change the past, it only disturbs the present. Every moment you spend thinking about what already happened is a moment you lose right now, and calmness exists only in the present. Letting go is not weakness. It's emotional intelligence. It's the ability to say, this is no longer worth my energy. And when you master that, you stop carrying unnecessary weight in your mind. You become lighter, clearer, more focused. 18. Your breathing controls your state. Most people underestimate something so simple, yet so powerful, your breath. When you're stressed, your breathing becomes fast and shallow. When you're calm, your breathing becomes slow and controlled. This means one thing: you can control your state by controlling your breath. Calm people use this intentionally. When pressure rises, they don't panic, they slow down the breathing. They take deep, controlled breaths. They ground themselves in the moment. And within seconds, their body begins to relax. Their mind follows. This is one of the fastest ways to regain control. Because no matter what is happening outside of you, your breath is always within your control. Train this daily, not just when things go wrong. Because the more you practice, the easier it becomes to stay calm in difficult situations. 19. Stop expecting life to be easy. Expectation is one of the hidden causes of frustration. You expect things to go smoothly. You expect people to act right. You expect life to follow your plans. And when reality doesn't match your expectations, you feel disturbed. But calm minds don't expect life to be easy. They expect challenges. They expect delays. They expect mistakes. They expect unpredictability, not in a negative way, but in a realistic way. And because they are mentally prepared, they don't get shocked when things go wrong. They adapt instead of reacting. This mindset removes frustration, because instead of thinking, "Why is this happening?" you think, "This is part of the process." And that shift keeps you grounded. 20. Discipline creates emotional stability. Most people think calmness is emotional, but it's actually built through discipline. When your life is disorganized, your mind becomes disorganized. When your habits are inconsistent, your emotions become unstable. But when you build discipline, everything changes. You wake up on time. You follow routines. You control your actions. And that structure creates stability. Because now, your life is not controlled by how you feel, it's controlled by what you do. Calm people rely on discipline, not mood. And that's why they remain steady even when things get difficult. 21. Stop feeding negative thoughts. Your mind grows what you feed it. If you constantly focus on problems, negativity, and fear, your mind becomes chaotic. But if you focus on clarity, solutions, and control, your mind becomes calm. Most people don't realize that they are feeding their own stress. Through overthinking, through negative self-talk, through constant worry. Calm people interrupt this pattern. They don't allow negative thoughts to run freely. They question them, they replace them, they control them, because they understand something powerful: not every thought deserves your attention. And once you stop feeding negativity, your mind begins to quiet down. 22. Be comfortable with uncertainty. Uncertainty makes people anxious. Not knowing what will happen. Not having control, not being sure of the outcome. But life is always uncertain. And if you need certainty to feel calm, you will never feel calm. Calm people accept uncertainty. They understand that not everything needs to be figured out immediately. They trust themselves to handle whatever comes. And that trust removes fear. Because calmness is not about knowing everything. It's about knowing you can handle anything. 23. Your focus determines your feelings. What you focus on grows. If you focus on problems, you feel stressed. If you focus on what's missing, you feel lack. If you focus on negativity, you feel overwhelmed. But if you shift your focus, your feelings change. Calm people control their focus intentionally. They focus on what they can do, not what they can't. They focus on solutions, not problems. They focus on the present, not the past or future. And that focus creates emotional stability. Because your mind follows your attention. 24. Build a strong inner identity. If you don't know who you are, everything will affect you. People's opinions will shake you. Situations will control you. But when you have a strong sense of self, things change. You know your values, you know your standards, you know your direction. And because of that, you don't get easily influenced. Calm people are grounded in their identity. They don't need approval, they don't need validation, because they already know who they are. And that inner certainty creates outer calmness. 25. Master your mind, or it will master you. At the end of everything, it comes down to this: your mind is either your greatest strength or your biggest weakness. If you don't train it, it will control you. It will create stress, fear, and chaos. But if you master it, you become calm in situations that break others. You stay focused when others panic. You move with clarity while others are confused. And that is power, real power. If you made it this far, you're not like most people. You're ready to become stronger. But listening is not enough. You must apply this. Train your mind daily. Control your reactions. Protect your peace. And if you want more powerful mindset content like this that will transform your life, subscribe now, because the version of you that stays calm no matter what happens is built one decision at a time.